This is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go.
We're back, night 3, Paul Cooney, and with us another football legend. Every night there has been. Tonight, it's Peter Grant, the Celtic and Scotland star. Peter, welcome back.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Paul.
How surprised were you?
I'm surprised when I never get a call. The season was already kicking in. I'm thinking, I've been dumped.
Never. Good to have you back in tonight, Peter. Celtic fans, what are you thinking ahead of the new season? You've watched all the preparatory games, and top of the bill tonight has to be Rangers winning last night. Champions League qualifier, 2-0 against Panathinaikos.
Yes, listen, I thought after the player gets sent off for Panathinaikos, I thought Rangers done really, really well, because it's difficult to play against 10 men, especially with a team away from home. You'd think they would sit in, but I thought Rangers, that was the best period of the game for them. They've got to thank Jack Butland. Jack Butland was outstanding, and we said that last season. People were going about, he never did a great season, but he's Rangers' number one goalkeeper, and people were saying, should they replace him in the summer? I don't think they could replace him with anybody better.
Finlay Curtis, what a game for him. His 6th appearance for Rangers. You don't know nobody knew too much about him, but the way he took that goal.
But not only that, Paul, I thought he was positive every time he picked the ball up. Even in the first half, the only thing I would say negative about him was in the first half, when he was going to close down, he was leaving the full back open. The ball was just getting passed out, so Raskin had to help cover a hell of a lot of ground to try and get out there. But the young man, you've got to give him great credit. I thought he looked really positive, wanted the ball all the time. People say a slight deflection, but listen, he's cut inside, and there's only one thing in his mind: he was going to have a drive at the goal. I think he earned his luck, and fantastic for him. It's a great feeling for that young man.
They went down to 10 men, and as you know, sometimes in Europe that can go against you. I mean, you're not going to complain to be up against 10 men, but Rangers adapted really well and they kicked on.
I thought that was their best period in the game. I thought they were excellent. I thought they moved the ball very quickly, which you have to do to try and shovel them out. They end up going behind the ball, making it 5-4 or whatever, not playing really a striker. There's no spaces to play through. But I thought Rangers moved it really quickly, got into good areas of the pitch, created chances in that period. And I think, I'm not sure who was it, Igitamani, I think, has the big chance at the back post with the header. That may come back to haunt them, because I think Panathinaikos has a decent side. That's my only concern, is that was a big chance, and I believe if Rangers would have won 3-0, it was over. That staying at 2-0 with that big chance, that could come back to haunt.
Gassama, of course, got the second for Rangers, another cracker. But it was telling, you watch Rangers, Panathinaikos, they didn't look panicked towards the end. They weren't trying to get a goal. It's as if they said, right, OK, we'll take you back to Athens next Wednesday night. It's going to be some game, isn't it? And the manager said that afterwards. Yeah, really good win, but it's not over.
No, I agree, Paul. Yeah. And I think that big chance, I see Igiman header at the back, because he does brilliant. He gets up above it. Just before it, Dowell had a similar header, but they give the defender a little bit of credit on that one. But Igiman won. I thought if Rangers would have scored that, Igiman would have scored that, I definitely think that was it. Rangers were through in my eyes.
Rangers fans, if you were there last night, give us a call, 0808 17 17 700, the Go Radio Football Show. Peter Grant with me, Paul Cooney. Let's hear from Russell Martin.
I'm very happy that we won. And I think we'll be much better for it. So we had a few tough moments early on in the first half, after a good start actually, and then a few sticky moments, because we're playing against a really good team, with good players, good coach, been together a while, longer than us for sure. So but I was really proud and really pleased with the players, the way they got through it, and also with the crowd, the way they stuck with the team for a few difficult moments was incredible. So I think as a group will be much better for tonight.
Bit more from the manager on the game.
This is the Go Radio. Back on an epic summer.
Just getting back into it, Peter, at the start of the new season. James will fix that one for me. We don't want the break just yet. Here's a bit more from Russell Martin on Rangers last night, because the crowd, he said, were brilliant and they needed them, because there were moments early on that Panathinaikos could have been 1, maybe 2 up.
Well, you could hear that, Paul. There was a bit of negativity with the fact that when a couple of the balls were given away, and I thought they were out crowding each other. Max Aaron was really in the pitch a lot, and I think that was cutting the pass out at times into the front men. I thought he could have held his timing. I know what he's trying to do, but I think he went in too often, so it meant Raskin wasn't quick enough to drop out. Then he becomes a sort of left back to get spare. That wasn't really happening. So you had young Finlay Curtis, and you can see Raskin, that he probably turned the ball over a lot in the first half, which is not like him, with simple passes. And I think that was just because they were either too close or it was too condensed. I think that's why I said when Rangers went the player up in the respect to that, the Panathinaikos player got the red card, I thought they handled that situation much better. They left the space, they stayed out the areas, you know, they kept the distance away from each other and allowed the passes forward, and that's why they created more chances. And Max Aarons, I don't think he got the credit for what he'd done in the corner and defended his own goal. And the second goal for Gassama, I don't know if that's how you say his name. It was a terrific play all round. Igamani's pass into the middle of the pitch, then the ball out wide, and then obviously being very positive in his first touch. I mean, what a dream start for him, you know, after 4 minutes.
Do you think they would have been nervous early on? You know, new manager, the expectations of the crowd. Nobody knew much about the team. They've been behind closed doors, friendlies and things. So it would be natural, wouldn't it, to be a little bit cautious?
Paul, my first game and my last game for Celtic, I was nervous.
Were you?
You know, and I think you talk to any player, that's the way it is. That's the expectation that's on you. You're expected to play well and win every single game. I'm sure Russell would have been a mixture of excitement, trepidation, hope it goes well, want to get that first victory. He's done all that, and it'll definitely help him, but he knows there's a fine line. You know, when you're playing well, you could hear it up when the ball was given away a couple of times in the first half, and Butland's big saves. It could have been completely different. The manager can't do nothing about that. It's how the players respond to that, and that's why I think they've got to give them great credit for the way they finished that game last night, because it could have been easily 2 or 3 down in a period in the game, and then them would have sensed something completely different, and that has been more and more difficult to play with. It
was one of the pre-match talking points. Who would he play, Jack Butland or Liam Kelly? And to be fair, Barry had played. Jack was back in the team before the end of the old season, so you thought it was probably going to be him, but my goodness, it certainly worked. The manager spoke about him afterwards.
Yeah, I think we're asking people to judge people afresh, really. So there'll be people that have had different experiences here so far, playing in that team tonight. Kieran Dale, another one who I thought was great. He's been really impressive in pre-season. So yeah, I'm really pleased for Jack, because he's a really good goalkeeper. I think he's shown that in periods here as well. So I think it gives him a really good platform to build from.
He didn't want to say too much, but he's obviously pleased with the keeper, because that could have been, I mean, he did say this is not going to be make or break, whatever happens last night. It's not a season defining game, but what a way to start, 2-0 at home.
Oh, 100%. It doesn't matter, it's not make or break, but it definitely puts a pressure on, Paul, because at Celtic or Rangers you have to win, and the quicker you win the better. Russell would have accepted them playing poorly and coming out and being critical of them as long as they won, because there's nothing better. Because as soon as it becomes one game you've not won, then it becomes the next game, then the players become more tighter. You know, you can't get the players in or you can't get the players out you're wanting, you know, so your team's not shaping up the way you want, and players are human beings, and I keep saying that, they will make mistakes, and that's why I was delighted for Jack Butland. I've always said he's Rangers' number 1 goalkeeper. That's nothing against Liam Kelly, nothing at all. Jack Butland's our number 1, and Rangers won't get a better goalkeeper. Please believe me, they won't get a better goalkeeper at this moment in time. Rangers, they've got the best goalkeeper I think they possibly can, or you'd have to pay a lot of money for someone to be better than Jack Butland.
Let's go on the lines. First up on 0808 17 17 700. Stevie is on from Craigend. Hi Stevie.
How are you doing, guys? Alright, welcome back.
Hi Stevie.
And to you, how are you?
I'm alright. Obviously Peter commented there he was nervous in his first game, nervous in his last game. So try watching you, Peter. That nerves me.
You're no kidding. Oh, you're a Rangers supporter.
I'm a Kelly fan.
I'm only joking.
Sorry, big man, sorry.
No, he's laughing. He's not happy, but he's laughing. Stevie, what's in your mind?
Just obviously I watched the game last night. The young boy, the wee man, whether he gets that deflection or not, but see, sometimes that, you know, you just need that wee raw talent. You know what I mean? Just the youngster in him, Peter, just to go, I can't be bothered running, I'm just going to shoot. and it flew into the bottom corner. But do you think there's going to be, like, especially obviously from a Scotland point of view, if he gets picked, that to try and find a mixture between the youngsters that are coming back in, the Patterson and Hickey, obviously Tierney's coming back in. If we bring in these young guys, do you think Steve Clark's got it in him, Peter, to try and mix the experience with the young talent? With I want to impress, and you know, having that mentality going, I'm just taking this early.
No, I agree with you. I thought he should have done it for the Euros. I genuinely did. I said that there's a lot of young players I believe should have went on the trip, because knowing Stevie, the way his teams play and the selection he does, he usually goes for his experience. He knows his first 11, and if they're fit they will play. There's very little changes in it. So then the rest of the group, then I think that should have been sprinkled with players that he felt, and I was saying at the time, the likes of Lennon Miller and that, for me personally, they should all went to the Euros. You're out there and you're playing against a Germany, and you've got a Lennon Miller sitting there watching Tony Cruz, or preparing to play against a Tony Cruz, for example. For me, it's an unbelievable learning experience, and seeing how good these players are at close hand. Watching on the television, we think they're good players, you know, there's no doubt of that, but when you see them at close hand, or you're playing against them, please believe me, it's a different level. I agree that a lot of these younger boys, because I think there's an acceptance with the supporters then, you know, they will know if they're good enough, they'll judge you very quickly. Some of them really surprise you and step up to the plate, and they can perform on it and they're ready for it. Other ones, maybe it's a bit too much for them, but you'll know that within a small period of time. And I mean the simple things. You talk about, Stevie, how can they mix? You know, how do they train against the better players, at the international players? How do they behave when they're round about the group? All these things, how do they handle disappointment? And the only way you can do that is with having them round about it. But I hope and pray that these young boys are going to get an opportunity if they're good enough. I've always said that, if they're good enough and they're playing at their best. And the likes of Lennon Miller at that particular time, for me, should definitely have went to the Euros. And I just, well, obviously lost Lewis Ferguson and all that at that period. Yeah. I think it was a no-brainer to take guys like that, because the experience is very much worthwhile.
That's a great point you make, Stevie. What about your own team? What are you looking for in the window? A month to go, the signing so far, what do you feel?
I thought, obviously, I mean, with Brendan Rodgers being there, Paul, I mean, I thought, you know, bringing in somebody like Vardy, I mean, it's just pace you play him in Europe, having that experience, I mean, would have made the difference. The new guys coming in, obviously, we trust Brendan and what he does. Again, I'm a Spurs fan, I mean, Ange's gone. Yep. I mean, and you're saying, did anybody know about these guys that he brought in? But we got on board with it, it worked out for us. And I think, obviously, not mean with the way that Brendan's done it. I mean, then again, Kieran's back. So does that mean that Carter Vickers can get maybe a rest, or are we just constantly going to go with him? But I just felt that with him being a free agent, Paul, I don't know if Peter felt that Vardy would have been ideal, because he's never going to run 30 years back to defend. But you put a ball in that box, you'll finish it. Yep.
No, there is absolutely no doubt. I think whoever gets Jamie Vardy, it's not as if he's one of these guys who's lost his pace as he's got older. You know, he proved that last year again. I thought he was excellent. His attitude, he's got that, you know, that exuberance that lifts everybody else round about you. And sometimes you don't realise how important that is. And I feel that in a dressing room. Like, say, Kieran getting back in, obviously, Kieran getting back into the dressing room, that's a big boost for the players. But seeing a couple of guys like that coming in, as you say, a Jamie Vardy or somebody like that coming in the door, and people say he's at a certain age, but please believe me, he would still score goals in Scotland. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind of that. I think he maybe just be sitting back waiting to see what's the biggest club that's coming in for me, what's the one that's going to give me the biggest challenge. And you never know. You
wouldn't rule out. I mean, he scored in his last game, didn't he, just the other week, you know, in the Premier League.
Jamie Vardy will score wherever he goes, Paul, at this moment in time. If he stays clear of injury, he'll score goals. But he's got an listen, I always judge it, the defenders like playing against him. The answer is absolutely not. You know, and he's a quality player. He's proven it time and time again. So whoever gets him is getting still a top goal scorer. There's no doubt of that. And Celtic have done that over the years. If you think about it late in their careers, the Dion Dublins, you know, you talk about these guys, Ian Wrights, all these guys, and then to a certain extent you look at Robbie Keane, Craig Bellamy's, all these boys, you know, they always had something about them. And I just think Jamie Vardy's definitely got that. So whoever gets him is going to get a top quality striker.
Shinya Maeda apparently faster than Daisen Maeda. Stevie, that's hard to believe.
I know. I mean, I think Celtic might need one of the electric car points, Peter, outside. I mean, just to plug these guys in.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they could run fast up hands, mate. I mean, I totally agree. I do say that when you look at all the guys that are up for grabs, you know what I mean? So the new, I mean, you've got the carrot of European football, but again, obviously, we've got to play another qualifier, which is a disgrace. Yeah. But to me, the Vardy, if he scores the winner to get us into the group stage, he's earned his money, Peter.
Listen, the big thing is as well, Brendan knows him obviously really, really well. You know, Brendan was his manager, so he knows him really well. He knows what he brings to it. You know, so maybe that's the route that he can go to, or maybe he's leaving it till last minute, or maybe he's spoken to a Jamie Vardy or whatever. You don't know. And then at the end of the day, Jamie Vardy's maybe sitting back saying, right, because there's talk about America, there's talk about this, that, and the next thing, and he maybe sit and say, this is what I want to do. going to a Celtic or whatever, that's the sort of place and arena I want to go in. Listen, if I'm talking to him, there's no better arena you would go to play in front of Celtic fans. And he'd be, I know he's adored with the Leicester fans, but he knows nothing if he does well for Celtic. That'd be for sure.
Stevie, before you go, Patrick's on as well, a Celtic fan, and he is saying, what do you think, are Rangers going to be stronger under Russell Martin? And he wants to know, Peter, your view on Russell Martin. You know him well, how's he going to do?
I think he'll do well. I think what he's doing is the players he's bringing in, he knows they've played in the British game. Yeah. You know, he knows how to handle it. The Championship is really, really difficult league, and I know that people say there's Championship players there, but that's where affordability is, you know, for Rangers and what at this moment in time. So there's listen, it'd be hard for them to be any poorer than they were last year, and we keep saying that. There were 17 points behind Celtic, but there were 17 points in front of Hibs, and everybody says they were the manager of the year in David Gray, which is quite incredible actually. You look at the Celtic Rangers 10 more points off Celtic, so they let themselves down in other games. So there's absolutely no doubt that Russell will look at things in there. They will improve. Whether they'll improve good enough to beat Celtic, I'm sure that I don't know if that'll be the case this year.
Stevie, you any thoughts on it?
I just think that, again, Rangers fans are probably going to think the same way Celtic fans did when Brendan came up. No, if he does really well at Rangers between the start of the season and Christmas, and then clubs start coming in, tempting them back down south, would he go? And I think he would. No, I mean, I don't mean that disrespectful, but I think he would go back down if the right job was there. I mean, like Sunderland or something like that, Peter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, again,
the only thing I would say on that, Stevie, I'm quite surprised that he never got an opportunity. Maybe he did to go to Norwich at that particular, because he was a Norwich captain and all that. And
he said there were offers. He didn't say it was Norwich.
To be for me, I always used to listen to Russell's interviews and that, because obviously I lived in Norwich for all that time, and it was always that seemed as if it was like near enough a dream, if you understand what it's a strange one. And then that job was up when the Rangers won. So I think, listen, I keep saying it, Stevie, Celtic and Rangers outside Manchester United, please believe me, that's the two you'd want to go to. You know what, the pressure that comes with it, everything else that goes along with it, that's the two you would want to come to. And if you get a chance to go to a Celtic or a Rangers as a manager, I don't think you can knock it back. I know they maybe leave, but as players do, but when you get an opportunity to do that, it doesn't come along very often.
Stevie, before you go, I just want to mention to Peter and to everyone, another of the Lisbon Lions, the 12th man in May 1967. John Fallon passed away yesterday, Blantyre's finest. You knew him well. In fact, you saw him. He was at John Clark's funeral just a few weeks ago, Peter. We haven't seen you since that, but another of the Lisbon Lions.
An absolute shame, you know, and I know he's had a tough few months, John, to be perfectly honest with you. I've been at a couple of do's with him probably in the last 6 to 8 months, you know, with him quite a few, and he's always been chirpy and loved talking about the Celtic and going on about Celtic, always at the games and whatever. So it's a sad miss, you know. It's been a real tough month for everybody connected with the club, losing John Clark and then obviously losing the news about John yesterday. So I can only say heartfelt condolences to his family and God rest them.
And Stevie, they gave you so many, I mean, before your time, but you know, the Lisbon Lions, the names will live on forever.
Absolutely, mate, and look at the Celtic way, and I don't know how Peter feels, but I mean, again, these guys were Celtic legends. Why are we not getting bronze statues of these guys? I mean, as you're growing up, and then you somebody talk to your kids and your grandkids about their achievement, what they've done to put Celtic on the map, football and world, I mean, as well, alike. So to me, the biggest show of respect is doing something like that. So it's not, you know, just that again, the guys were there. They're not getting any younger, obviously Peter included.
You're not kidding.
But I just think, I mean, as I say, I don't mean that disrespectful, Peter, but I just think if a gesture like that would be good. Obviously, the job Steve Manders, the Caesar there as well, but just get his teammates, get up the pathway. I agree with you 100%. I think that team will never be surpassed. No matter if Celtic won another European Cup, that team will never be surpassed because they were the first. That's the difference. And I think every one of them should be there in the statue. That's me personally. I've always said that because that will be the greatest team ever. There is no getting away from that. I don't care what anybody says. And I was fortunate enough to know every one of them. So I was blessed in that respect. And I agree 100%. Every one of them should be remembered forevermore.
Stevie, thanks for your call tonight. And Peter, many people, I see Willie Wallace has been speaking, cheers, about, I think it was the 1st of June, just the week after Celtic won the European Cup, and the Lisbon Lions played against Real Madrid in the Di Stefano Testimonial in the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, and Ronnie Simpson didn't play, and it was John who played. John Fallon played out his skin. Celtic won 1-0.
I think what the people were saying in that particular match, it was either John or Jimmy Johnson that was going to be man of the match. That's the difference, you know. And I think Jimmy was getting olays and all that, and the fans were all standing up. But I think John was outstanding in that particular match, as Celtic were. But what a place to go, to 120,000 perform the way he seemingly did. As I say, I've only seen highlights of the game, and it looked a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere. And people still talk about it, and that's what I'm saying, Paul. That team will always be talked about. As long as there's Celtic Football Club, that's the team that'll always be spoken about. No matter what we do in the future, that'll always be the team, the number one team.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yep, it was busy around Govan last night. Huge crowd, sellout for Rangers against Panathinaikos. A few of you coming on already saying that for Celtic, they shouldn't have to qualify for the Champions League. The winners in Scotland automatically should go through to the tournament proper. Rangers are trying to get there, but they've got, you know, next week's hurdle, then the following, which is going to be tough, although arguably it's tougher if they drop down to Europa League, as you know. But the champions of Scotland should be in the European Champions Cup.
Champions every country, Paul, that's involved should be automatically through. I've always said that. That's why you work hard. That's why you work hard to get there, be the champions. It's called the Champions League for a reason. But now you're getting nearly 5th and 6th place in England getting into it, and that is ridiculous. The champions in first, and then if they want to put other teams in to make it bigger, fine, that's fine. If they want to go to the top 5 leagues after that, fine. But the champions are champions for a reason, and every one of the champions, no matter the size of the country, every one of them should be in it.
Is there nothing we can do? Do we not have the muscle?
We never have, Paul, in respect to that,
because we're too small compared to
we always
England,
think you
Germany,
don't want to fall out with people,
Italy.
and they just push you to the side,
right?
And I genuinely believe if people put up a fight for it, they all got together. If football people get together and say, right, what do you want to do in the league? We ask that question every year here when we start the season. What's the most important thing? It's to win the league. And I'm sure that'll be the same whatever country you're in. So automatically for me, that should be the team that wins the league should be automatic qualifiers. Then if you want to add seconds and thirds, fine, I've no problem with that. But everybody that's been first, an automatic pass into it. That's why you work so hard. It's not after one game, Paul. You know what I mean? That's the problem. It's 38 games or whatever it takes you to get there, you know, and that's the difference. That's so hard to try and do, and I think whatever country you're, you should automatically get there.
It's about money and power, isn't it?
Unfortunately,
and not just in football, but in everything.
But unfortunately, football, that people pay a lot of money, no matter if you're in Luxembourg, Scotland, it doesn't matter. They're paying money to watch their team be successful. So if you're in one of the small nations and you draw Bayern Munich, Celtic, Rangers, whatever, whoever wins leagues, Manchester United, coming to your country, to your club, that could set them up to make them bigger clubs, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Of course.
With finance, they can build on it. But at this moment in time, they just get smaller and smaller and smaller.
So the gap gets wider and wider.
And then it becomes the same people are doing the same things.
Rangers a 2-0 win last night over Panathinaikos. What did he make of his team? The manager spoke afterwards. He said, look, they're going to look different in a few weeks' time.
I'm glad we won rather than lost, but he's nowhere near finished, and next week will be a different experience for us. It'll be a different game to tonight. One thing I'm convinced of is we'll improve for tonight. So next week's going to be different, and a different game, different atmosphere, so we have to be ready.
Yeah, it'll be completely different. It'll be 35, 37 degrees, Peter, next week. The Ibrox crowd, then they warmed up. They're a bit nervous at the beginning, but the manager praised them afterwards.
Incredible, yeah. I'm so grateful for that. They were incredible. I think from everyone I spoke to and bumped into, there's an acknowledgement that we're so early on in the process. The team's so young, new. The team will look different again in 4 or 5 weeks. I'm sure we'll have some bodies in to help us. But the guys who are here have to make sure that they're part of it, and they're doing that, and they're running so hard. I'd like the team to fight tonight. The reaction to losing the ball was fantastic, so we have to live there all the time. But I have so much gratitude for the crowd tonight. They were incredible, and we're going to need them. They're the most important people at the football club. And hopefully tonight they leave with a feeling of actually this could be something, the start of something exciting for them and for us.
Yeah, the fans went home happy last night. Let's go back on the lines. 0808 17 17 700. Kieran is on the line, a Hibs fan. Hi Kieran, good evening.
How are you doing, boys? You alright?
Hi, Kieran.
Good, Kieran. Your first time caller?
No, I phoned up a couple of times last season. I had called up the tail end of the season, just the closing week before the Scottish Cup final.
Of course,
if you remember, and I was for once rooting for Aberdeen. Sorry,
Yes,
Celtic.
for Celtic, I know.
It didn't really go that way for us, so they did it the hard way to get in Europe.
Sure.
There, so.
I think nobody thought that was going to happen, Kieran.
No.
I think even the Aberdeen fans, because I saw a few of them at the Kiltwalk a couple of days later, and they said, honestly, we came down for a good weekend. We did not expect to beat Celtic in the final. And I did think about you afterwards, you know, the Hibs fans. Thomas listens in San Francisco every night. He just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But that's football.
It was a bit of a tough one to take, but I suppose it was nice seeing somebody else win it for a change. But I've got some Aberdeen friends in the season as well that they didn't have much hope, so it was a good story. But it's left us a bit of a lurch with Midtjylland, the first tie who have been in and around the bigger competitions in Europe the last few seasons. So
yeah, it's going to be tough tomorrow.
And then obviously yesterday there was the tie for the Conference League. Should we drop out on next Thursday, following the Midtjylland tie, but it looks not a bad break. We go seeded into that because we would. For the next round, if we bet Midtjylland, I believe we get their coefficients, so we go seeded in the third round.
Right.
So, there are a few possibilities, but being a Hibs fan, it's probably about the 4 games and then concentrate in the league.
You never know.
You never know. But no, just the general, just on the point there about the European placements and stuff in England, like 6th place potentially, is that plus the Palace place as well, who they never got a place. You're talking 7 places in England, so for being by an average, that's like, you know, a bottom half essentially, getting in. So it's a bit a sore one to take. But my main point was the finances in Scottish. It seems to be in my lifetime. It was always Celtic and Rangers, and that is still the case. They're light years, especially Celtic just now. Rangers have got new investment, but I'm just thinking the 3 below that, Aberdeen, with our relatively the windfall they're going to get, they seem to be backing their manager. You've got Bloom investing heavily into Hearts, and then the Gordons are, whilst Hibs made an operating loss last year, they've there's been £11 million put into Hibs in the last year as well. So on paper that should be your top 5, but you've got your St Mirren's, your Kilmarnocks and stuff there that are just always on the kind of edge that just they're always punching above their weight. I know Kilmarnock have been as good, but
are you a bit worried about Hearts this coming season? Derek McInnes in charge?
Possibly. I would have probably taken McInnes when he was at Kilmarnock. I think before Montgomery got the job, he was linked to, I think he was favourite, heavily favourite in that, and then Montgomery got the job. But I think he'll do. You can see through the League Cup, he's got them playing. I've got a few Hearts mates in the saying that they can actually see since, I don't even know, since probably Nielsen's first season, second time round, that was the only time they've really had an identity. Since then they've not really had that identity. I know under Naismith you could argue, but I think under Naismith the consensus I was getting for them is that they were, I wouldn't say lucky, but they were getting results without really being playing in a consistent manner. So now I think you know we're going to get McInnes. It might not always, or most of the time it won't be pretty, but it'll win football games, you know.
Peter, what do you think? What's going to be the order this season? It's tough just now. I'm not asking you to nail it down, but I guess I'm thinking about, you know, the Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs.
Well, that's going to be the way it should be in the respect of that, because we've seen it all before. You know, that that was when I was involved. That was the way it was. You know, it was a Celtic, Rangers, vice versa, Aberdeen at the top of that pile. But then your Hibs, your Hearts, every single game was so difficult. Dundee United, you bring on going to Dens at Dundee. So all these teams are in there now. A lot of them had a spell out in the Championship. Hibs as well. Rangers were out, obviously, the league. All these things, now they all seem to be creeping back and putting money back in again. As you say, the investments coming into these clubs. Now it's how you go about that, and there's always surprises, Paul. I think it'll get more difficult for the teams with the investment that's coming in. But what becomes with that now is more pressure on the Hibs, the Hearts, the Aberdeens to become third or second. Was it Tony Bloom that's been at Hearts and said that he's looking to break Celtic and Rangers monopoly?
Any chance?
No. Not at this moment in time.
Ever?
No, you can get lucky. You can get lucky sometimes. Over the piece, I always think they'll have more. And I think Stevie's saying there about Derek McInneskin, and we spoke about that with Neil Critchley. Neil Critchley's situation. Neil was a football man, wanted the game to be played, built up and whatever. Hearts for me always play cup tie football. They like to get the ball forward, they like to get the ball in the box, they like to get set plays. They've always been that. That's the way their fans are, and that's why they'll be accepting Derek for the way he is. And it's completely different for the way Derek was as a footballer. But he likes his teams to play. But I don't mean that disrespectfully. There's no messing about. If you can play forward, you play forward. If you put a cross in the box, you put a cross in the box. But I think all the teams have become like that. Like Bashiri, we're talking about Hibs.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden,
yep.
But this, maybe I'm talking about school here. I'm looking at it last year. I'm thinking you wouldn't have gave tuppence for him. Till they moved to a back three, and all of a sudden it became a big player for him.
We spoke about that, Paul, end of the season about Bashiri. I sat here and I said that he was the biggest one that surprised me, and he'd probably be the one that I wouldn't expect to keep at the end of his contract. And I think that's what I'm saying about the finances. I think Hibs 5-10 years ago probably wouldn't. This wouldn't have happened under the Peachtree Farmer regime. It would be kind of. They had a maximum bar for it. It seems that your Hibs, your Hearts, your Aberdeen, and now if there's a player that's suitable, they will make the deal happen. Like I thought Bashiri was linked with teams in France, Belgium, and English Championship, who would be paying substantial wages. So Hibs have also became an attractive. The whole club, like. I think Hearts just now as well, they're going through what we've probably done the second half of last season.
See on that, Stevie, see what you're saying there with Bashiri. If they went to a back four, do you think he would still play in it? If David went back to a back, I agree. I agree 100%. No, I think that's the problem. If you're taking a Bashiri and you're going to keep him, you have to play a back three because he goes wandering. And I think that's why the Hibs goalkeeper struggled last year at the start of the season. They kept changing him all the time, and I think that was one of the reasons. So they have to stay a back three if Bashiri's going to be playing.
Kieran, I remember you spoke at the end of the season about Bashiri. Forgive me, we need to move on just now, Kieran. We've only got an hour tonight with Peter. We're back for 2 hours next week. Paul was at the Rangers game last night. He's on the line. Hi, Paul. Good evening. Oh.
Hi guys.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
So, 2-0 win last night. How are you feeling?
Over the moon, Paul. For the first time in a number of years, I felt we had an identity. Now, I'm going to contradict myself a wee bit, and it's nothing personal, right? So I know what you think. I think about a certain person, right? But just hear me out what I've seen, right? I think my worry is, until we get maybe a couple of new signings, is we're lucky at times, right? I think moving forward, the aggression stuff, I absolutely loved it. But at the back, we were kicking now. I don't know what Peter thinks, I don't know what you think, maybe watching it, right? But I don't know whether he's to accommodate James Tavernier on the right, he's playing Mark Sarns out of position. And then he's also played Raskin in a kind of unusual position as well. And I heard a couple of the commentators, I think Neil McCann maybe said it as well, watching back in the game. And he made a couple of mistakes. Mark Sarns made a couple of mistakes. And my worry is, are we trying to accommodate, are we trying to putting squares into circles here just to accommodate one individual? What do you think of that? Because that's what I was saying.
All right, Peter, what do you feel?
No, I agree. I've seen Max a lot, obviously. He grew up with my son at Norwich and I watched him a lot, and he was always a right back. I thought getting used to that position, I never really seen him playing that near enough in midfield last night. I think at times he was getting in the road because he was in there too early, so it was leaving it difficult for John Souttar. And I agree. The likes of, you've got to work on it constantly, and I'm sure Russell's seen exactly what I'm seeing. You're saying, no, the inside left's got to come outside the pitch, Raskin's got to drop out, the wee winger can stay high, and it's things they'll work on. I've absolutely no doubt they'll get better at it. I think Max can play there, but he's definitely better at right side. There is absolutely no doubt of that. I think there's another way you can look at it, is when they're in that area of the pitch, and because he's not a natural left foot and he's more natural right, then can he pass forward once he steps in? Because a lot of teams show you inside the pitch and they're more comfortable at. I agree, it's a bit, the building blocks are probably getting in it now. I think Russell will notice more last night, because for its first part of playing against better opposition, if you understand what I'm saying, seeing how good players, and I think they were very fortunate in the first half, especially in that area of the pitch, because I thought young Curtis was asked to do a hell of a lot of work running back to left back, and he got a brilliant tackle in one of the times at the edge of the box. He actually, the player struck the back of his leg, and he done brilliant to get back in. And I think you've got to be careful with that. But I think that's some of the things that Russell will see last night, and he will try and iron out, and they will only get better. Aarons can play left back, there's no doubt of that. But it's going to be interesting to see him going for how they go forward on it, because it looked more like a back three. Tavernier stayed at home more often than not last night, so it became a back three more than anything else when they attacked, and Aarons became that extra midfield player.
The manager spoke about Finlay Curtis afterwards.
Well, I hope it's the start of something. I think he's just had words of wisdom from Sir Alex there. I don't think you can ask for any more than that, and he has to keep his feet on the ground. But also, again, I spoke before the game with the TV guys about why he's in the team, and I think he has the character and the mentality to play for this club. I really do, because he had a sticky first half like a lot of the guys, and then to come through it, take on information at half time, to run as he does is brilliant for him. So it has to just be the start. We have to make sure with Finn that it is just a start, and he keeps improving and keeps wanting to improve, because that's the best bit about him, is his attitude and his willingness to learn.
Paul, are you going to go through next week?
Well, I would like to, but working everything else like that, Paul. But
I know. I meant the team. Don't worry. I didn't expect you to go to Athens, but
get time off.
Listen, Peter's loaded. He could pay for the flight.
No, but I was going to ask, what did you think of Mani's chance? Do you think that could come back to haunt you? I thought it was a big chance. I thought it was a big chance in the game, and I think Rangers would be through now. And I know that's a big statement. I think they'd be through now if it was 3-0.
No, do you know what I think? I was screaming out to bring in more. I thought he could have made the change a wee bit more sooner, to be honest. I don't know, he held out to about 70 odd minutes, but I'm like you. I thought I was greedy. I was get 3, get 4 and take the pressure off. But see, in a funny way, you could end up going there 3-0 thinking that game's done and dusted, and then it goes back and haunts you that way as well. Football's a funny game.
I agree with that.
I think, you know what, see the game be 2-0 at the start of the tie.
Yes.
There's a bit of hand off it.
So they gave you that at half time because Jack Butland was outstanding. You've got to give him great credit.
I agree.
You know,
listen, and listen, I go to the games, as you know, and I gave Jack Butland a bit of hard time like other fans, but do you know what, I think it's a bit of freshness, and then here's a wee thing I don't really think about, but Alex Ferguson's come up to the Rangers team a good few times, and I don't know, I know he's lost a bit of connection down south because of the whole takeover and everything else. I wonder, we've lost Walter Smith, Jimmy Bell, quite a lot of high figures at Rangers through just bad luck.
So you're liking the fact Sir Alex is in and around the place?
Well,
of course.
I don't know whether you think it's an ambassador role or some sort of thing like that. Do you know what I mean? Him and Archie Knox. I've seen Archie Knox was there last night as well.
I think that's listen, Russell used his head there as well. If he's going for information for these guys, you can't get much better. He's getting Richard Gough in to speak, and he's getting Sir Alex Ferguson.
The connection with Darren, his son.
All been winners. Sure. Russell played with under Darren at Peterborough. So all these things, but it's so important. You never know everything. You're always learning. Doesn't matter. And the wee words of wisdom you'll get from left to right, even things that you don't see yourself sitting at the standing at the side of the pitch because you're so engrossed in it. A wee snippet you get from Sir Alex or a Richard Gough, all these guys who played at the top level consistently, I think that'll do nothing but good for Russell.
Paul, thanks for your call.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Listen anytime, wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's go.
The Go Radio Football Show, Paul Cooney, Peter Grant. Tomorrow night it's going to be Richard Foster who'll be here, and then Friday night Andy Walker, your former teammate Peter, he'll be with us.
Definitely drop down by the end of the week, Paul.
I told you I bumped into Andy's brother once. He said, "You're always much nicer to Peter Grant than Andy Walker." I said, "Well, everyone is."
He's a fantastic guy.
Indeed, and he'll be here with us on Friday night. Lots of calls coming in. It's just a 1 hour special. We'll be back to 2 hours from Monday night. Charlie Mulgrew will be here along with Barry Ferguson. It was interesting to hear Barry's take on his time at Rangers the other night. He was disappointed not to get the job. It was down to him, Russell Martin and Ancelotti. David, not Carlo.
Yes.
But it was great to hear him speaking for the first time about his, and he said, look, I loved every minute of it. I played, I captained, and I managed the team that I love.
Absolutely. Listen, you can't do any better than that. If somebody you thought he'd wake up dreaming, when he taught to say it like that, Paul, phenomenal for him, and I'm sure there's things in there they'll be disappointed at. There is absolutely no doubt of that. But what an honour and a privilege it must have been for him, waking up every morning again to manage Rangers Football Club, the club that he supports and the club that he wants to do ever so well. So great credit to him. He taken it on board, and as I say, what an experience for him.
Charlie Mulgrew was on as well, and it was really interesting to hear his insight into football management. So he thought he wanted to be a manager, but he found at Kelty the 11 games, he realised it's not for him. I guess that happens sometimes.
Yeah, well, it was strange because I listened to Charlie's interviews after it, and I remember him saying about the time and all that. Please believe me, there is no time as a manager, and that's what I'm saying. I keep saying that about managers. There is no time.
You enjoy a win for
45 minutes if you're lucky, Paul. You do the press.
He said something similar.
But it's not even that, Paul. You go on holiday. When I went part-time at Alloa, you worked harder then being part-time because you were doing it all during the day, getting everything organised. Then you would train the players at night. You would do the exact same when you're in the full-time club. You would do the same thing. Then you'd be away watching games, everything. There is no time. You go on holiday, what are you trying to do? Sign players.
Yeah. It's relentless. I also think the World Cup, the FIFA thing, Peter, I didn't watch it. I think it's ridiculous. They're just,
I agree.
Money out of the biggest clubs, given the greed in the game. I think it's awful.
I thought it was really poor.
And all that.
Absolutely. I thought it was really poor. We've got to get back to people say about the players, supporters as well. What you don't want is, Paul, is supporters getting fed up. I think there's too many games spread throughout the week now. Me personally, I love watching it. My wife goes crazy because every night I'm watching a game of football. But I think for supporters, because you get here to watch it then.
You're not watching Love Island or Corrie?
Never even dream it. Never dream it. No chance.
No, I know. There is too much. And the greed in that, I just thought it was...
Yeah, and it's so expensive, Paul, Sure. And listen, I'm all for seeing the best players, but the boys, to get the best players so people can come and watch the best players playing well, Paul. I think that's important. Not flogging a dead horse at times. Listen, if they've got 6 weeks in the summer, Paul, they deserve that 6 weeks to make them fresh for a new season, to go again, to excite the fans. Because you know what we're like when we have the break, we're like so desperate to get back. And the players are the exact same. I mean, they were talking about this is such and such his 30th goal of the season. Hold on, the season finished 2 months ago. In my eyes,
that's right.
What I mean? This wasn't the season. This wasn't part of the season for me. But hey, listen, great credit to Chelsea. They played really well, and Cole Palmer was outstanding.
Darren's on asking what happened to your team in the cup final. Not to go on at length now, Peter. It was a couple of months ago, but is it an omen for the new season, or a wake-up call's maybe the wrong thing? But we talked about it just before the break. I mean, Celtic, nobody thought they were going to lose that cup final. Nicholas Coon has gone since then. He didn't have a good end to the season. I'm not putting it down to him. Some people off the boil. I wonder what the manager is thinking for this season. He must be desperate. He'll I would imagine, think a double's great, but a treble is so hard to come by.
I said that to you before, Paul. There's such a fine line, and trebles are so difficult. As I say, in a cup tie, you can play poorly, as Celtic did on the day, and they'll lose the cup final. I know Maeda's a big chance to win it 1-0. Obviously it goes into the penalty kicks, and you're thinking, where are you going to go for there? I don't think it's a wake up for Brendan in any shape or form. I think he knows what he needs to improve and needs to get better, and how you need to freshen it. I think he knows that. You've done that with Alex Kieran Tierney. And listen, great credit to Greg Taylor, because I thought Greg Taylor's been outstanding for Celtic. There's absolutely no doubt that, and he goes away great applause for me, because I thought he was outstanding. But Kieran Tierney is another level, I believe. So that's a fantastic signing. But I'm sure there'll other ones come in. and the dressing room will be galvanised. We've seen the likes of Kieran and that there, Callum McGregor, James Forrest and that doing ever so well. That's the experience. They learn everybody else. So the big thing is now, we'll still be looking for big performances. There's guys still to come up, stand up to the plate and be consistent. I know it's a little bit more difficult now because of the minutes you spend on the pitch, but when you get the minutes, you have to be ready, because you're lucky if you get an hour now if you start. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Brendan mind was already made up anyway before the cup final.
Some more signings to come in for sure.
Absolutely. I think there is absolutely
Wide
no doubt
players.
of that. Well, the biggest thing is you've got to remember that. So St. Jota.
Yeah.
Jota gets an injury, you have a problem. Coon's away.
Yep.
So they're talking about Yang. I don't know if there's any truth in.
But he's not going to be.
No, but you
Yeah,
understand.
sure.
So it's
Yeah.
another wide player. James has a few injury problems,
Yeah,
obviously,
sure.
and he's obviously getting older. All these things. So that is definitely a place you're going to be.
Yeah.
Bodies coming in, there is absolutely no doubt of that. Niggerin, I'm not sure where he's going to play, because the games I've seen him, he's played in that sort of third midfield player. People say to me he's more of a forward player, and I'm thinking that'll be interesting because he's not really done that in the pre-season games I've seen him. So it'll be interesting to see him. That's why I'm really excited about the new season starting, Paul. You know, but every time you get closer, it's us talking about it. You just want it to get started again, and I'm sure the players are like that now. Pre-season was the worst time. You just wanted to get back into the battle again, winning points, going through in cup competitions, all these sort of things, and that's what players are desperate to do now.
Cup competitions come too soon. I know you feel that, Peter, and you experienced it at Dunfermline. Just looking at last night, looking at some of the highlights, Falkirk, they were a goal down to Queen's Park, but they had a 3-1 win for them. They're top of that section. Falkirk, Cove Rangers, Spartans, Queen's Park and Brecon. Partick Thistle, 2-0 win against Queen of the South, so they're top of their league. Ross County just behind them, Queen of the South, Stranraer and Edinburgh City. Just looking at Dundee, I was looking for that one. That was a big one. Stephen Presry really needed his first win, and he got it.
No, I was delighted for him because Stephen's a really good football man. I was delighted he got the result, because I know how difficult it is. Paul, I go back to a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Airdrie played St Mirren. I went to, it's not Broomfield now, I know that, but I went to Airdrie. He was getting booed off with the St Mirren fans, and I think the next 3 years he's been in the top six.
Top six.
But the cup is so difficult because you've not got the right players in. At one stage, I think they've started. You're allowed trialists back in this year.
Okay.
But I don't think that was even stopped. So you weren't even having a squad, but you're judged. As soon as you start playing again, you're judged, and I was delighted Stephen got that result last night.
3-0 Ayr United against Forfar, so they're top. St Mirren just behind them on 7 points. Arbroath, Forfar and Annan. And Dunfermline beating Accies 2-1. It's going to be strange this season, the Accies not playing at
I find it
Douglas
quite
Park.
incredible.
It's sad, isn't it?
It's sad, because Hamilton, as you see, the old Douglas Park played there
Just up the
a few
road,
times, and then obviously getting into the new stadium. It's sad that you're taking Hamilton out of Hamilton.
I agree. East Kilbride lost 6.
And they've been doing well, and
haven't
they've been
they?
doing well.
Yeah.
So that's a fair old result for Inverness.
St Johnstone beat Raith Rovers 3-1. Clyde, you always look for them. Clyde 2-2 with Stenhousemuir, and Motherwell 3, Morton 0. Motherwell top of that section on 11 points, Morton on 6, along with Clyde, then Stenhousemuir and Peterhead. And Kelty 0, Kilmarnock 0, with Kelty winning 4-3 in penalties. That was the...
Well, the big thing for me is, Paul, when I was at Dunfermline, we'd done really well in the Cup, and everybody thought we were Brazil.
Yeah.
And that was always a concern for me. Yeah. And then we get through and get gubbed with Rangers 5-0. And then couldn't win a league game. And I end up losing my job. But everybody in the Cup thinks it was brilliant, and you think that's how quickly it changes. The biggest thing is all these managers are wanting to get through now. If you're expected to get through, they want you to get through so they can get a breather. Then they want the league to start.
Hearts Dumbarton tonight, but the headline today was after Rangers win last night. 50,000 almost there for Russell Martin's first game in charge. They were 1 up, then there was ordering off the Panathinaikos down to 10 men, 2 yellow cards, and then they got a second goal.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think it helps the player, it helps the team, it helps the supporters understand why we wanted to bring him in. So he's a real specialist in that position and in certain aspects of the game, and I think everyone can see how much he's going to help us. I think the challenge for Gas now is he's worked so hard to get himself back into a position of fitness, because he had a week or so of not really knowing what was going on and not training. So he now needs to get ready to perform for 90 minutes as quickly as possible, but he's definitely going to help the team. You can see that, and I think even the energy in the crowd when he received the ball after the first few actions, it helps us as a team. So he's going to be exciting to work with, and I think he's got so much room and for improvement and growth as well. I think that's the most exciting bit.
Gassama just in a few days, Peter, and what a start to his career.
Fantastic. any better for him. If he could have wrote the script coming on that pitch, that would have been the perfect script for him. And Russell will be delighted, because even as a manager, Paul, when you're bringing in signing and it's your signings, there's a feel of it, that's a Russell Martin signing. He'll be absolutely delighted that he's come on. And he's right, you could sense it in the supporters when he got the ball, they were excited. And what I liked about him, he went outside as well, he just never came inside.
This time next week we'll be getting ready for Rangers playing in Athens against Panathinaikos. And Peter, you'll be watching tomorrow night Celtic in action in Como. Good luck to Hibs, of course, in action, and also to Dundee United. Celtic playing the mighty Ajax.
Yes, great memories watching their games, and some fantastic results. So I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow.
Great to have you back, Peter Grant. See you next week.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Thanks so much. The news is next. Zoe's on, and we're back tomorrow night with Richard Foster at 5.
This is the Go Radio Football Show. Call 0808 17 17 700.
Let's go.